Well, here in Europe, Australian football, or Aussie rules as it's called, is played in 21 countries at amateur level. And with me is the AFL Europe League's General Manager, Ben McCormack. Welcome to you. Thanks very much for being with us.
Thanks,
joining me from the BBC Sports Centre is former professional rugby league player Tulson Tollett, who played in the elite National Rugby League competition. He's now one of our sports presenters. Tulson, let me come to you first of all. Were you surprised when you heard this?
I am surprised on the scale, John, of how this has unfolded, because when you look at the press conference there that Jason Clare and Kate Lundy, the Justice Minister and the Sports Minister respectively, were at, you had all 5 heads of the main sports there. And what does that tell you? It tells you that over the last year, the infiltration which has gone on, which is going to come out in this report, is absolutely massive. The ramifications are going to be huge, and for the Australian sports viewer and fan in general, it's something which they never thought they would see, because Australian sport is so huge. It's what the country is specifically known for, is how good their sporting teams are. When you look at either Olympics, you look at the sports like cricket, the Australian rugby union team having won World Cups as well, for example, and you look at it and it's very, very disappointing to see on such a large scale that is what's going to come out here.
And in your sporting career, did you ever see it? Did you ever hear about it in sort of dressing rooms or whatever?
No, I never heard about it. When I was playing, supplements were becoming very big, and you would see players who were taking supplements that were on the non-banned list. I have to specify that. But an interesting thing, John, is that at the beginning of every season, you were sat down and you were basically given a talk for half an hour and given a list of what were on the banned substance list, so you knew exactly what you could and couldn't take. And many times I walked out of a meeting at the beginning of the season, and you would look around and there'd be 8 or 10 of these leaflets and big dossiers, folders left on the floor. So it tells you that there is a problem there, and that people really need to take it upon themselves, if they are playing sport, to really know exactly what they're taking. And these sports scientists who come into the game, and the game has changed so much in every sport. You look at it, and from there, we have to look from the individual point of view.
Ben, you represent Aussie rules at the amateur level here in Europe. Mm-hmm. Do you see it? Have you come across it?
No, absolutely not. And through my dealings, I played and was involved in the administration of the sport at certain levels back in Australia as well. And I across a career since I played as a junior, I've never come across any sort of this activity.
We had a medical ethicist on an hour ago, Australian, sports mad. He says the answer to this is to make some of these drugs legal, so that it's a level playing field. Yeah, you can take these supplements, you can take these drugs, and review the ban list, keep the dangerous stuff off, but then you've got a much greater chance of regulating it. What would you say to that? No,
I can't see how that could work possibly, and you certainly see in the other sports, Australia's clearly from this, Australia's not immune, and we've seen the effect it's had on cycling and other sports in Europe and across the world. I can't see how that would help the sport at all, and I'm really confident that the AFL and the government agencies in Australia will get this right.
Tulson, do you agree with that?
John, just something, that's ridiculous, because if you start bringing in a system where you can allow these banned substances, what do you teach kids at school? What are we teaching them? Where does it stop? Where does it finish? But something was interesting. We talk about doping, but there was an incident in the NRL over there in rugby league. A chap by the name of Ryan Tandy. Now, he was found guilty of match fixing, spot betting in a 2010 NRL match, where he gave away a penalty in front of his own post because he was part of a betting syndicate on winning $113,000 it would have been if the North Queensland Cowboys, who Canterbury were playing against, had have kicked a penalty goal to be the first points of that match, which is generally unheard of in that sport. Now, he was given a 12-month suspended sentence. He was fined. Now, has this report been linked just after all that happened? Has that when the infiltration has started by the Crime Commission to try and root out the problems across all those major sports, whether it be match fixing, criminal? Yeah, is it all linked to that?
Well, which brings me to my next question, which I'd like both of you very quickly to respond to. Do you think this is an Australian problem, or just Australia has looked harder and the problem is the same wherever you go to see professional sport being played, whether Britain, the United States of America, France, Germany, wherever?
Everywhere. I'll draw you to the Operation Puerto with Dr. Fuentes in Spain at the moment. That ranges across a whole list of sports. This is something very similar. This could even be bigger than that.
And certainly just recently reading something about European football as well, and the effect of match fixing in the world's biggest sporting code. So certainly not immune to it anywhere in the world, I wouldn't think.
OK, both of you, thank you very much indeed for your thoughts on the subject. Really good to have you here with us. And Toslin there in our sports studio, thanks ever so much indeed.